In this video, we're going to look at WNS Holdings. They are a company out of India which deals with business process management, and they are looking like a pretty good deal right now. So I have a couple ratios up here. We have the stock chart on top, and you can see it's been declining. Along with, this is the price to earnings ratio, which is just the price of the stock divided by how much earnings the company is generating per share. And then along the bottom I have the earnings, and this goes up till the 2023 have been released. 2024 they're releasing later this month in April, and over the last trailing 12 months they're at about $3.50, and we'll probably jump up a little bit on that 2024 number. But you can see there's been an overall uptrend here in the earnings, which is what we want. Even though when looking at a value kind of stock, it's easy to just look at PE and whether the stock price has dropped. But if you can get the combination of a good value plus a company that's actually increasing their earnings, then you have multiple things helping that stock out. So overall uptrend, even though there have been a couple years where they fell a little bit, it's been quick recoveries back up to higher earnings per share. So overall, a growing company. This is going back almost a decade. And then if we go to the price to earnings ratio, you can see when it drops below 20, that's where this black line is. It doesn't spend long below there, and it's usually a pretty good buying point. So we had the drop below here in October of 2023, had a pretty nice rally, and we've dropped a little bit since that low. But still, this stock has basically gotten cheaper. I'm not a fan of just blindly buying dips if things are a good value, so I would wait for this to form some sort of bottoming pattern to indicate that the price is not dropping anymore, because this stock has been a good value for a while, and it has continued to sell off, so that could continue to be the case. We just don't know. Ultimately, we need buyers to step in to say, okay, this thing is a good deal, and we're going to start buying it. So I'd like to see some sort of bottoming pattern here, whether it's a rounded bottom or an inverse head and shoulders, something like that. So I was kind of thinking an estimated entry point would be if this kind of chops around for a while and then starts moving up, maybe about 55. So yeah, I could buy it now, but there's also that possibility that it continues to drop another 10% or something. Yes, it would be cheaper, but I don't want to tie up my capital in something that's dropping or even moving sideways, because a rounded bottom pattern could take multiple months to form. So I'm really interested in this, but I do want to see this stop falling and start to build higher. So where could this go if that actually happens? Well, we can see that quite often, and especially after it's gone down to 20, the PE will move back up to 25 or 30. So basically up into this type of area here. And now it does often surpass it as well. It could go much higher than that, but just kind of looking at a conservative area where the PE could bounce to, 25 to 30 is a pretty good estimate. And then we can look at what's the company expected to do in terms of its earnings. Well, looking out to about 2025, analysts are projecting that, this is on Yahoo Finance, you can just type in a stock symbol such as WNS and then go to analysis, and then you can look at the estimates a year or two out for where earnings are expected to be. So the average estimate is $4.57 per share. Now, if you were to multiply that by 25 or 30, that would basically tell you where the stock is trading at, because if we know that the PE often moves back to 25 or 30, we can multiply that by the earnings projected at that time, and what that will give us is about $114 to $137 target. So 25 times 4.57, so that's $114.25. If it were to go to a 30 multiple times 457, that gives a target of 137. So 114 to 137 if this stock conservatively moves back to its more normal PE levels. So that's a pretty good upside considering the stock's trading at just below 50. Now, of course, there are some assumptions built into that. The company would actually have to get to those earnings that are projected if they only make $3 per share in 2025 and it's trading at a 20 PE. What stock price does that give you? $3 per share times a 20 PE multiple, that'd be about a $60 stock. So not a whole lot of upside in that scenario. If it went to a 30 PE and they only had $3 in earnings, you'd have about a $90 stock, which could be feasible. So there are some assumptions built into this, but at this valuation, and if they can even get somewhat close to those earnings projections of about $4.50 per share in 2025, this is looking like a pretty good deal on this stock. Always consider your risk tolerance when entering a trade. This type of trade, it could last a year or more, so it is a dynamic situation where new data, earnings releases are coming out every quarter, so new data is coming in. What will you do if they're going to miss that mark, that we took that trade based on them hitting these types of earnings that we thought they would hit? What happens if they start missing those targets and it doesn't look like they're going to get it? How are you going to handle that situation? So consider those types of things because, new data is coming in all the time. If the stock starts really dropping after you enter, you may also want to consider just taking a small loss and re-enter when the stock price starts looking better again, when it starts rounding out, maybe moving up again, assuming the fundamentals still look good. So plan out the trade, always manage your risk on any type of trade or investment, but WNS, a very interesting one to consider.